David Zaslav is attempting to rebuild Warner Brothers up from the ground up. Warner Brothers Discovery, but especially Warner Brothers Pictures, because the entire studio is on the floor. The truth of the matter is, as I say on here every day, what's going on isn't his fault. The decisions he's making have to be made. The shelving of Batgirl, what he's doing with TCM as well. The network doesn't make any money. Yes, it's a great old network that celebrates Hollywood, but it's a business and it's not making money. So I don't know what's going to happen to that network. I would say that David Zaslav hasn't gone far enough. He should have shelved the Flash movie and got a tax write-down for it. But they really did believe that the Flash movie had the potential to make a hell of a lot of money, and they were wrong. Because the money it's made, which is barely nothing, they could have got from a tax write-down. Anyway, you're eager to know why I titled today's video, The Batman Cinematic Universe. Well, yesterday, a very, very interesting rumor was developing. That Matt Reeves is developing his very own The Batman Cinematic Universe, with other directors making streaming shows and movies and different writers, just like James Gunn and Peter Safran are planning for the DC Universe and what Kevin Feige's been doing since 2008 Iron Man. So what you want to know is this true? I can clarify exclusively today here on Movies TV Mad. Yes, the Batman Cinematic Universe is full speed ahead. It's a go. It's happening. Now, I'd love to know what you think of this. You're going to be saying, but Mick, doesn't this compete with James Gunn's and Peter Safran's DC Universe? Well, listen, it's pretty clear that David Zaslav is hedging his bets, but there's nothing wrong, right, with having a successful DC Universe and having a successful, the Batman Cinematic Universe. Can they both be successful? If they're done right, there's no reason they couldn't be successful, because you've got a dark, realistic, cinematic universe from Matt Reeves, and, James Gunn's already said that his universe is going to be more fantastical. So they're not going to be the same. Of course, we've already spoke about oversaturation of comic book content. In fact, James Gunn has spoken about, oversaturation of comic book content. But here's the thing, and here's the clarification that what I've been telling you all along. James Gunn isn't running DC Studios, not on his own. He can't decide whether Matt Reeves does the Batman Cinematic Universe or not. But to me, this is definitely a Zaslav move. This is something that David Zaslav has wanted all along. He wanted Reeves and Todd Phillips to develop their own cinematic universes. It wouldn't surprise me if we find out we're also getting a Todd Phillips Black Label cinematic universe, which is exactly what Todd wanted to do all along. So yes, I do believe the Batman Cinematic Universe is in development, because we haven't seen the first project, Superman Legacy. We haven't seen that project yet. We don't know how much it's going to make. We don't know what type of film it's going to be. But the first movie in the Batman Cinematic Universe has already been released. And during the pandemic, all right, near the end of the pandemic, but still within the pandemic, it earned $750 million. That film persuaded audiences to sit there and watch a 3-hour, noir, slow-paced, wonderful film, by the way, and they went in their droves. And it is my belief that the second film will be around 3 hours as well, and I think we can raise that up to $1 billion. So there's no question what Matt Reeves is doing has a lot of potential. But yes, of course, because if the DC universe is to fail and Matt Reeves' The Batman cinematic universe succeeds, this is a leg up. But I think that David Zaslav has some very, very good ideas. Now, from the outside looking in, he's a piece of shit. He's an asset stripper. He has bad intentions for film and he doesn't love film. I don't believe any of that. I think people have an agenda against him, right? Imagine, right, you've come in to take over the local milk float. People used to buy milk in their droves, but then they started going to the local supermarket. So the milk float isn't making money. So the same company has shops that sell milk. So you shut down those shops so more people buy milk from the milk float. It makes sense, right? Because there is a paradigm shift in Hollywood right now. David Zaslav entered a universe where we had the reality check that streaming doesn't make much money. But you see, there's a race against time to 2025. You know, because 2025 is huge for DC and WB. We've got Superman Legacy and the Batman 2. Now, I believe that Batman 2 will be hugely successful. I don't know about Superman Legacy. I hope it will be successful. I'm certainly very open-minded about it and excited about it. But we don't know what James Gunn's really got planned for that movie and the universe. We know it's not going to be a Kryptonian origin story, and that's an interesting thing to miss out. People say, and he says, James Gunn, we've seen that so many times, but people still need to know Superman's origin. So it's a tricky thing to do. I believe he has got I do believe he's got the tools in his locker to pull that off, but it's still going to be very, very challenging. We know who Matt Reeves is. We know he's one of the best writer-directors in the business. He's done so many great things, and The Batman was a great movie. Whether you're triggered that we never saw Ben Affleck's The Batman, which I am, you can't take that out on Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves did nothing wrong. He made a great Batman movie, and now he is developing a cinematic universe. But as I said, if the DCU and the Batman cinematic universe and Todd Phillips' Black Label cinematic universe all start making money, it's a leg up. It's one up to DC. Because let's go over to Marvel Studios. What is their big plan? They don't have any fundamental plan. They're not willing to change. Yesterday we saw some bland pictures, on-set location pics of Ryan Reynolds in his Deadpool attire. And to me, it wasn't very impressive. It was a yawn. It was boring. I'm not much of a Deadpool fan. I'm not particularly a big Ryan Reynolds fan either. I don't dislike the guy, but I don't think he's a great actor, and I think he's very, very overrated. And all he's doing is putting together all these, former X-Men people for nostalgia. I don't think there's much else to say about the character of Deadpool. You did it in the first movie. The second movie wasn't so good. The gags were okay in places. I think the third movie is in trouble, and I believe this is why he brought Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, aka Logan, in that movie. We got the Blade reboot coming into the MCU. They've had huge problems. Rewrite after rewrite, disagreements with the star of the film. Everything they don't understand. They don't know anymore what to do. They got it right. Look at Disney. Just look at Disney, right? Before you criticize WB, look at Disney. They had peak Pixar. They had peak Marvel Cinematic Universe. Then they became overtly political. And Phase 4 destroyed the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And they're on the floor. This is a great opportunity for DC. Instead of the Flash movie putting DC in trouble, I believe it's something that we really, really needed to happen, to show how badly the previous franchise was run, that it was never going to work in any way, because there was too many cooks spoiling the broth. So we have an interesting situation here. We have James Gunn developing a cinematic universe, which he will run. He will do the predominant storytelling. He will give director's notes. But then we've got an auteur like Matt Reeves, who will also create a cinematic universe, will write and direct some content, will bring in his type of people, other auteurs, to write and direct and produce their own content. Basically, the Batman cinematic universe is my type of cinematic universe, because there's a difference between what James Gunn will bring in terms of talent, using the terms loosely, to what Matt Reeves will bring in. Matt Reeves will bring in men and women, like HBO quality men and women. James Gunn has Andy Muschietti directing a Batman movie that he won't be in control of. And that's the difference. So the potential of the Batman cinematic universe excites me. The potential of Todd Phillips' Black Label cinematic universe excites me. And I think James Gunn can make DC Universe successful. I think he can make a great Superman movie. But if he doesn't, you'll have the Black Label cinematic universe and the Batman cinematic universe doing really well. Because I don't believe in any which way but south that Reeves' cinematic universe fails or Todd Phillips' cinematic universe fails. Because they're not going to have the pressure that James Gunn's got. James Gunn's movies have to make more money. They have to be, the general audience have to be attracted to them. But with the Batman and with the Black Label cinematic universe, you don't need to do that. These guys can bring in their people, other auteurs, and they can do whatever the hell they want. No one is going to interfere with the work of Matt Reeves or someone like Todd Phillips. And to be clear, James Gunn isn't Matt Reeves' boss. David Zaslav is. James Gunn isn't Todd Phillips' boss. David Zaslav is. And he's happy to leave them the hell alone to do what they need to do. So I don't think this is a negative situation. I think it puts more pressure on James Gunn more than Matt Reeves and Todd Phillips. But I do feel it's a very, very exciting thing, and it's definitely happening. There is going to be the Batman cinematic universe. There's definitely going to be a Black Label cinematic universe. And as I say, it's very, very ambitious. So everyone will be in charge of their own corners. This is what they should have done from day one. It makes a lot of sense. James Gunn will be in charge of his little corner. Matt Reeves will be in charge of his little corner, and Todd Phillips will be in charge of his little corner, and this is the way you should do it. So there's a lot of potential here. You have a fantastical DC universe, including a fantastical Batman. Then you have the Matt Reeves of Batman cinematic universe. There'll be more realism and Matt Reeves style. And then there'll be Todd Phillips' Black Label cinematic universe. What this is what I've always said we needed back in Hollywood. Variety. You can't just have a happy clappy cinematic universe. Everyone likes different things. Everyone likes different tones. You can have a happy clappy DC universe. You can have a universe set in realism, and you can have a Black Label universe as well. For me, as a DC fan and a long-standing WB fan, this excites me. And it's well done to David Zaslav. He gets it. He understands what's needed. But it's very, very difficult for David Zaslav right now, because the press and the extreme left in Hollywood are after him, because he's making a lot of difficult, controversial decisions, because he has to. He came in to do a gig. As I said at the beginning of the video, the top of the show, he came in to rebuild Warner Brothers from the ground up. And unfortunately, when you come into a situation like this, where everything's gone to shit, you are going to have to make a lot of difficult decisions. Some people's movies will be shelved, some people will be made redundant, others will be fired. It isn't great, but I think in terms of the Batman cinematic universe, I think that's very, very exciting. So as you know, Blue Beetle is coming out in August, and the first trailer became very controversial and divided audiences. One thing DC doesn't need right now, and IP never needs that shit. We had a clip in that trailer calling Batman a fascist. Now they're doing interviews trying to step back from what they said in that trailer. Xolo Maradona, who plays Jamie Reyes, Blue Beetle, in the movie, has said, yes, we complain about lots of superheroes in that film, but nobody hates Batman. Wouldn't it have been better not to have someone calling out Batman for being a fascist? So where does this gag come from? For a long time, people have been saying that Batman shouldn't be Batman. Bruce Wayne should just give all his money away to Gotham, and that will solve their problems. It's very simplistic, it's very extreme left. And here's the thing, Bruce Wayne in comics and in films via the Wayne Foundation has always donated hundreds of millions to Gotham. But that will never solve any derelict city or village or town or country's problems. You should do it if you can afford to do it, but being Batman and giving away hundreds of millions of dollars via the Wayne Foundation is brilliant. You get two sides of the same coin. Why should he stop being a vigilante? Why should he stop being Batman? It makes no sense. It's a dead argument from people who don't get what the real world is. Could it be that you're all triggered that Batman is actually a straight white male? Let's say if he was called Bruce Wayne-Elio and he was a Latinx, would you still be offended by this character? Would you be calling him a fascist in a movie populated with Latinx characters? No, of course you wouldn't, because this is all part of their little extremism. And this is the problem here. You caused the stir. You wound people up for no reason, and now you could have damaged your movie. Now you're going to have to backtrack. Now, they probably won't cut it from the movie. I think they should. Listen, it's a gag, but the gag comes from somewhere, and they're trying to make a point, and it isn't clever. This is what Hollywood needs to stop doing, because if they don't, they're not going to progress. No one needs to know your political views about a fictional comic book character. But the activists in Hollywood today simply can't help themselves. And unless we get rid of these people, we're never going to change. We need a purge of the extreme left in Hollywood. We need to purge the activists. They need to go, or we'll never move forward. And, you know, it's a serious situation when you've got a nice, solid Blue Beetle movie coming out and you upset people. You upset Batman fans and Batman stans, and there's no need to do so. You know, they've reverse engineered this film to be connected to DC Universe. I don't know if there's been any reshoots for this movie. We'll find out when we've seen it, because I know jack shit about this film. The trailer looked solid without being fantastic. The VFX looks a lot better than the Flash movie did. I mean, the Flash movie VFX looks shit in the trailer, let alone the movie. So it's very important that this film at least is a finished movie, and it looks like a finished movie. It looks like a movie that was a lot cheaper to make. But when you've spent the money that they did on the Flash, then put it out unfinished, that's simply not good enough, and you're going to be called out. So for me, they should never have made the gag about Batman being a fascist because they mean what they say. I mean, it's not really a gag. They're framing it as a gag, but really they mean what they say, and that's the problem.